I was thinking maybe, Joe, are you ready to give your ministry team report for B'nai That was supposed to be the first one after supper, but we can do it now.
All right, we have my report in the packet. I'm just going to go through some highlights. We have had a very, very busy summer at B'nai we have had 4 mission teams that came. That is probably a record for us. We all did Vacation Bible School. And we had one team that did Vacation Bible School and recited the Manse all at once. So I had a lot of back and forth that week between the groups, but it was awesome. Our first group was I was in charge of. I was directing and coordinating our first mission team that came towards the beginning of June. A bunch of my pastor friends that came and did that. Towards the end of June, we had a group from Wilmer, Minnesota that came and did Vacation Bible School. And they're the group that recited the house. So they had a group of like 30 to 40 people that came. It was a huge group that came that week. Our Rochester ladies came back for a 3rd year in a row. That was mid-July, and that was awesome to have them come back and see their heart for missions. They are continuing to support us throughout the year. They are writing grants for us to continue receiving funding for our program. They are reaching out to the community on the reservation to see how they can help others besides those that are at our church and in our community. Their church is doing donations towards different events that we're doing, so they are supporting us throughout the year, which is very cool. And then we got to have a Camp in the Van come back this year for a full week, and that was a great week because the kids got to have a sleepover at the church one of the nights, and we had a camp out and a sleepover, and that was a ton of fun. So now that the fall has come, it's a little slower pace, which is good. Coming up, we have, if you've seen Facebook or watched our website, we have our big event coming up is our winter clothes giveaway. We are collecting clothes and we'll be collecting them for about the next month. Coats, snow pants, and boots are the biggest need that we're getting for the kids on the reservation. We try to get enough for 100 kids. Last year we gave out snow pants, boots, and coats to 55 boys and 45 girls that came, and that was probably the biggest month we've ever had, and we're asking to get again this year. So if you've not been on our website, on our Facebook, or on the Presbytery website, I think it's on there too, our video requesting those items. So you have a little more than a month to get those items if you've not already gotten them, or donate financially and we can purchase those items. That is wonderful too. We are constantly looking for new members to join our ministry team. If you'd like to come and see who we are and see what our ministry is all about, next weekend we have a meeting at B'nai Presbyterian Church. So come on and take a road trip out to our church next weekend, and you can meet some of our members. We have quite a few here this weekend, but we all have, some more, and some church people hopefully next weekend at our church. You could come and see what we're about and see what our mission team does. We have our mission team, and we meet 2 or 3 times a year. So, and that's going to be next Saturday at 10 o'clock starting out at our church. To go along with that, Don Preston has been in charge of our ministry team probably since the beginning, since it was formed in 2010. She has definitely put in a lot of time and effort, and she loves doing what she does, but she could really use some help. If you or anyone you know of would be able to come and co-lead that team, she would really appreciate it. The job that she has at Concordia takes up a lot of her time, and her husband's still going through some health things right now, or some family things right now, so she would really love someone to step up and to co-lead that team with her. And it's not a lot of work, it's helping to do some presbytery work and helping to do some work with our meetings that we have that when the ministry team meets. So any help with that would be great. Last thing, we are collecting UBC codes from our family again. So get those to us by Thanksgiving so we can get them in the mail to our family by the end of December. And that is it for the Vidation Ministry Team report. Thank you.
Joe, get back up here, you had a question.
Sorry, you don't get away that easily. I was in the news regarding indigenous people, including Senator Heitkamp has made us aware that there is human trafficking issues in the indigenous community. Do you have any knowledge of that?
No, I really don't know anything about that in our community yet, no.
Okay, the Savannah Gray Wind issue brought up that, and I was just wondering, since you're dealing with Native Americans, so you don't have any...
No, I don't really know about that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
The Indigenous issue has been really big in Canada. I listen to, I'm far, even though I'm just north of Fargo now, I can still pick up the Canadian stations on my radio. And the problem with Indigenous women being killed and trafficked and kind of the cases being ignored is huge in Canada with the First Nations. And it's kind of translated over. I don't know that Spirit Lake has had anything. I know that there were instances of kids being forced into things that they didn't want to do at parties and that kind of stuff, and they didn't really have any choice. They were dragged to the parties. But I don't know that it's been addressed specifically as an issue there.
And the reason why I say that is because our Green Grant deals with anti-human trafficking, and if there's ways that we can connect, I think that would be very good.
We'll check with the tribal council and see if there's anything they need. We can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Donna and I were trying to co-lead, but it got too confusing because people thought we were one person. They were getting really confused as to which Donna was doing what. So, Shigaria Ministry Team, do you have a report to make? Anybody? Good, Bruce.
Well, I'm on the Chigoria Partnership.
And who are you?
I'm Boots Mashesky from Community Presbyterian Church in West Fargo. And I've been over to Kenya a couple of times, recently in February of this year. And Sharon ordinarily gives this report, and I'm not a speaker like Sharon is, but I'll do my best. Sharon is leaving for Kenya tomorrow again, so she could have been here today, but it was very late in the evening and it didn't work out. So I kind of want to review what we've been doing over the years in partnership with the Chigoria Presbyterians. We started that in 1998 with a formal partnership. And Chigoria has 4 presbyteries, the North, South, Central, and West. And with our support, we are supporting the Tharaka Mission area. And so when I was there in February, it's a really remote area where they don't have much of anything. And I know that's the school there. It started in 2007 with a young teacher that just graduated, and there was now a classroom there, and she went under the shade tree with some kindergarten students and started a school there, and now I believe there's 8 classrooms there. So that's kind of what we're supporting along with the 4 presbyteries of Tharaka. Chagoria. The focus through the years, I'll go through some of the things that we've done. We have visited back and forth with our Chagoria partners and built relationships between the people and presbyteries. And we supported the computer school, which is in Chagoria, and recently sent the last payment. And now the computer school is functioning and serving students, and it's self-sufficient, so that is really great. We've provided funds for family relief and funds for desks for the needy schools in Tharaka. And one of our Northern Plains groups went in 1914, and to help with these desks, we raised funds and built 80 desks for these schools. And the people of Chagoria, the partners, raised funds and built 20 of the desks. So I'd like to point out that they want to help and do all that they can, but they appreciate our help a lot. We have the Presbytery here to help raise funds for 2 permanent classrooms in the Mpangwa Primary School. That's the school I was referring to that started in 2007, kindergarten class. And our work there is ongoing, and we're working again with the presbyteries there and the teachers and the parents of the school area. And we are developing a strategic plan to ensure the school meets the desires and needs of the community. And with, like I said, the community participation. And as we're building classrooms, the parents are providing the ballast. Don't ask me what that is, because I don't know. And digging the foundations for the classrooms. So there, I want to point out particularly that there is participation from the Native people there. The government has built 3 more classrooms since we started this project and brought in the electricity to the school. They provided a laptop computer for the IT instructors and 20 tablets for the students. So there's a lot of advancements being made there. And we want to thank Presbytery for the generous offering on the last Presbytery meeting, and also point out that Trivent has donated $7,500 for the Mpangwa School project, which is a project that we're supporting now. And other things that we have done since we started in 1998 is we've partnered with an environmental engineer from the University of California, Davis, and we're building composing latrines. And if you were at the last Presbyterian meeting, Sharon went over what those are. And along with the hand washing stations for after use of the latrines for the students and the teachers. And when Sharon is there, leaving tomorrow, she'll be visiting the latrine project. And we'll have a good update on that when she gets back. Other things that we have sponsored as a Presbytery is there was a free medical camp in 2014 where a group of members of our Presbytery went over. They served 1,000 people in one day, and we want to thank you all again for donating medical supplies and monies for this camp. And many people from the Northern Plains Presbytery have visited Kenya and built relationships and have returned with blessings from Kenya and friends from Kenya. We are planning a trip in 2019 again, and we're going to dedicate the Mpangwa School, primary school at that time. And we'll be sharing more information as time goes on till then. And we're asking that you would identify people in your congregations who may be interested in going on this trip. Another thing that we have been involved with is to support several children with school scholarships. They have to pay to go to school there, and of course poor families cannot afford that. So our kind of a newer promotion that we're trying to work on is a way to get more children to be supported. And some ways to do that is if you have a personal desire to do that, you can, or maybe as a congregation, you could do that. And we'll also be gathering more information on that from a fellow that's from Kenya. So just to be thinking about that. We've shared Bible studies and prayers for each other, and our partners are always eager to identify ways to support our presbytery, and they are exploring options. So once again, I'd like to thank you for your enthusiastic support through the years. Many of us have gone to Kenya or hosted guests in our homes from Kenya and entertained them in our communities and in our churches. Thanks for the generous donations for the various projects with our partners in Kenya. Thank you. Questions? I don't know if I've answered.
I have a question.
Okay.
Pastor Paul from Ellendale. We were assigned congregations to sort of partner with and pray for in Jagoria, and I was told that that was changing because of things that were happening in the presbytery there. Because we have that church listed on our prayer list.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been reorganized, or is it the same?
I was sharing with you. I know that our church, Community Presbyterian Church in West Fargo, has a sister congregation in Tharaka. And I visited there and went to church there when I was there in February. And at that time we discussed that there are some old information about some churches were a sister congregation with somebody there, and you know more about this, Lori?
I know a little bit about it.
Do you? What's
Part of the problem that we're having, part of the problem that there is that over in Shagoria, they have multiplied their congregations much faster, and we've dwindled. And so they have churches who don't have sisters, and then we have churches that are closed. And so right now, the sister congregation that you were assigned several years ago would be your sister congregation until it gets reassigned. But they are trying to work on a process of figuring out what congregations want to be part of that and which ones don't. So it's kind of up in the air still, but I would just pray for all of them. Because I know they're praying for all of us, so.
We do. An obligation for being a sister congregation is pretty minimal. We just pray for each other and recognize each other, and we don't necessarily financially support them, although we can if we want to, so it's a pretty simple program. Anything else?
And when they have a representative that comes over here on a visit, they get very enthusiastic when they get to your church.
No?
We've been kind of overwhelmed since the pastor from our congregation was there, and it turned out that his wife was from the Hunter sister congregation. So we're kind of being overwhelmed. But
I can say that I was there about 10 years ago also, and there's been a lot of improvement in their presbyteries. They seem to be well settled and working really hard to reach out to mission, overcoming some of their difficulties with their own areas and try to reach out to others. So it's really, really encouraging, some of the great things that are happening. Okay.
is the Youth Connection team ready to report? Joe, you're having a busy afternoon instead of a busy evening.
And for the Youth Connection team, we had our spring retreat the week after our last Presbytery, so that was new. We had about 40 people, adults and kids, come to that all together, about 40. our exciting news was in June when we had our first middle school mission trip to Minneapolis. We had, let me look here, I have it. We had 32 youth and 5 adults go from Fargo to Minneapolis. They all came from 10 different communities, including some ELCA youth that came with Elaine. So we were very, very excited to have a huge group of middle schoolers go on that, and excited to see them grow into the high school group and see, that high school group gets more numbers, because the middle school group is really growing in leaps and bounds, and it's really awesome to see them all want to go to all of the events that we do. We are, they did a lot of missions, but they also had fun. They went to Valley Fair and Mall of America, so they had some fun as well. So that was great. Coming up, we'll have Rest Fest towards the beginning of 2018. The dates and all that are not decided quite yet, but in our next meeting this Wednesday, hopefully we'll get some firm dates and figure out some more specifics on what Rest Fest is going to look like this year. That's coming in early 2018, and also be looking for our spring retreat that is coming up April 27th through the 29th. Will be our spring retreat at Crystal Springs that we have every year. We are hard at work to plan for the coming year. If you know of any youth directors or volunteer youth people that are working with the youth in your congregation that would like to join us, we would love to have their input. We would love to talk with them. Right now it's me and 3 youth directors, so we could really get some valuable insight, I think, if there are people who work with youth in your home churches that aren't being supported right now. So anyone who works with middle school, high school kids in your home church and would like to be involved, we would love to talk with them, give them some advice, and just love to share our wisdom and our resources with them. So, yes. Any questions?
Can I have a comment and a thank you? That mission trip that the Presbytery organized in June was one of the best trips for youth I've ever been a part of. So a major thank you to the Youth Connection team who organized it, including Ashley from the Bismarck Church. They went to 3 mission sites. They went to Feed My Starving Children, Galilee Gardens, which is a community garden, and then to Sheridan Story, which is a backpack program. And it was just, the kids had such an amazing faith experience with that. And we had great chaperones who came on the trip too, who were willing to look over kids who came without chaperones from their church. So it was great. I know there were 2 from Joe's church, and there wasn't an adult able to go with them. So we really partnered and functioned as one. And I know some of our kids were nervous because they've never been on any event that wasn't within their denomination. And so it was really, for them, really exciting to be a part of an interdenominational youth event, because I saw it and it was awesome. And I'm so glad that we had a really positive experience and unexpectedly interdenominational too. So thank you to the organizers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Presbyterian Clearwater Forest.
There's going to be possibly a hunter education, mountain biking. We're going to get permission from the DNR to do the testing for hunter licenses. That's an important part of our system up here in Minnesota and North Dakota. We have a lot of people who hunt. We can teach kids to do that well, to do that safely, to respect the life that they're taking with that as well, but we eat what we hunt. We eat what we fish and catch, and doing a cookout and all of that. So we're trying some specialty camps the first 2 weeks. For those of you who've had teenagers who've done camp, we are not, and I repeat, we are not changing anything to endless summer. So the last week of camp, or the last 2 weeks of camp that are endless, and couldn't change it if we wanted to. We'd lose our kids. That's really what our senior highs really look forward to once they hit that age group. We had 170 senior high campers this summer. We had 15 that we celebrated who had graduated in May. So it's a great opportunity. We really, I want to encourage you to take advantage of it. How many commissioned lay pastors or commissioned, I forget the language. If you consider yourself somebody who leads worship and are sort of in that pastoral role in any way, raise your hand. In any way. There are hermitage cabins at Clearwater that are for you. So you can contact Clearwater Forest, say that you are either a ruling elder that leads a commissioned lay pastor, clergy, and you can say, I want to come and stay in one of the hermitages. And it's free to you to do that. So we cover that cost. They have little kitchen, they're like efficiency cottages. So they have cooking areas, you have a little refrigerator, a little hot plate, they're heated. You do have to use an outhouse, but they're nice. They're nice outhouses. In the summer, we have a bathhouse that has running water, so that's okay. But they're available to you. Fall is a great time of year to go to Clearwater. So you can tell I'm passionate about it. I love Clearwater. We are 1/5 owner in Clearwater. This is our ministry together. And just come and check it out. Come and enjoy it. You can hear the loons from early spring to mid-fall. I don't know if they're still there or not. One of the pastoral practices that I would encourage you to do, spiritual practices, and I've done this, is to go and sit out on the end of one of the piers, or docks, if you will. I don't know what we call it in the northern Midwest. And sit and read Psalm 104 out loud. It's incredible. It's all about God's good creation. And you can read this as the sun is setting and the loons are calling, and we are changing lives in God's woods and waters. It's amazing. Come visit. And do pray for Rich Swartwood's son, Eric. Did you mention this?
Yep.
He will be going, they will be getting a consultation at Children's Hospital on Monday in all likelihood, so. Well, you were waving at me. I'm used to that cue. Nancy.
You have time for a little good news?
Sure. Or a lot of good news. Yeah.
Elizabeth Sweet from the Moorhead Church. And I just confessed to being one of the first people at Clearwater.
Yay!
And not only was I one of the first people, I was also a counselor in training for 8 cents an hour before I went off to college. I never saw any of it. It went straight to McAllister College. So when I had children, they all went to Clearwater. Now I have grandchildren. Peter in 3rd grade took bit camp. I don't think they call it that. 3-day camp. And he had such a good time that on the way home, he talked so much, 3 hours in the car, that his little sister wants to go.